Me, that's Corey. Corey,
Okay.
raise your hand. That guy. Your margarita.
I think it said that we lost the connection to the internet, which is fine. We'll put it up later. Thank you for joining us for obscenely large cocktails with Craig here on the Homeowner Show. We got my friend Robert joining us from RWB Electrical. Real quick, I want to put out a question, which maybe not necessary since we're not live, but if you are on the feed and the feed is working, I want to know. We've got this homeowners market. Is it going? Sweet, thank you. Whether or not you think home prices are going to go up or down in the next 6 months. This is something we've been talking a lot on the show. So thumbs up if you think that prices are going to go up in the next 6 months. Thumbs down if you think that prices are going to go down over the next 6 months. I want to get a feel for the audience, see what they're thinking about home prices, because we get a lot of weird people talking about home prices. And I imagine you get a sense of this because you see people spending money on their homes. What are people spending money on their homes with you right now?
Mostly, a lot of people seems like, I get it from a lot of realtors, honestly, that come in trying to sell or house for their client. But most of the stuff is going to be like breaker boxes need to be upgraded, lighting needs to be upgraded, ceiling fans. So mostly cosmetic issues, or maybe even some plugs, or a lot of people are getting electric cars now, so they want electric car chargers in their garage, stuff of that nature, kind of what we're installing mostly.
So, are electrical things becoming, from your experience, you've been doing this for a while, right?
Yes, this week is actually 17 years.
17 years, okay. So have people's electrical needs in their homes just become more diverse over the last 17 years?
It's definitely changed. The reason being technology's really cranked up, smart switches, everything's smart now. So
right.
A lot of things are no longer necessary because everything's wireless.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, a lot of stuff is a lot easier for us to install.
A lot easier?
Yes, a lot easier for us to install. Everything links to this, links to that. You install something, you plug it in.
You're not having to run wires, right?
Right,
you're using like Pico devices and things like that.
Exactly. So everything, basically wall outlets. We install something here, something over there, provide it hidden either behind cabinets or just anywhere we can in order for the look the best for the customer, sure.
So is low voltage lighting part of that as well? Are you guys having to wire houses differently because
depends.
of that?
No, low voltage, you're probably looking for like under cabinet lighting or like in lighting or lighting in cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
Could probably be low voltage. Generally, most houses, you're going with high-end houses, like really high-end, will have low voltage lighting and lighting control panels, and everything's low voltage, 12 volts ran to it. But your common home, it's all going to be 120 volt.
120?
Yes.
Okay. And so what's causing a lot of people to have to change out their electrical panel? Because I imagine most people look at that and go, it's been there for 30 years. I don't need to mess with that. It's fine. Like, why are you having to change those out?
Well, generally, a rule of thumb is about every 25 years to replace your panel, especially if it's outdoors. Reason being, because your outdoor panel is outside with the weather, the cold, the heat. It's also been in the on position. It could be freezing outside, so it doesn't get no use like a light switch.
Mm-hmm.
So what usually happens is these breakers lose their UL listing on them, and don't trip at the rate that they're supposed to trip at.
What's UL listing?
UL listings, good question. What's that? There you go. That's it.
Help from the audience. Thank you,
say
sir.
it, but I don't say the words all the time, so excuse me for that. Appreciate that. But anyhow, it loses its rating for the trip. So if something was supposed to trip, the breaker won't trip. And what happens is you can have stuff that overheats, causes fire, stuff of that nature. So they recommend 25 years. Now, if the panel's inside, like in the garage, or if the house is even older in a home, like somewhere, sometimes it's in a closet, which it shouldn't be.
Right.
But they'll last a lot longer being indoors. So they're in climate control, they're not in the weather, stuff of that nature.
So with them being indoors, because I think a lot of new builds, they're putting them in the garage where they're insulated and they have a little bit more protection. How long should they last there?
That's hard to say. It all depends. If they're having issues with like breakers burning up, or sometimes it can burn the bus up. The bus is actually like the skeleton that's inside the panel. That's what the breakers pop into.
Yeah.
That's what feeds all the breakers. If that bus itself is damaged, then it's time to replace it.
Okay.
But it's hard to put a number on indoor panels because it varies on how long they can last. But they'll usually last a long time. We've been in houses that are 50 years old with an indoor panel. You look at them, they're still great. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of them, wow, you're surprised it's that old.
So you mentioned fires. When you talk about like electrical fire, is that typically starting at the breaker box, or is it something that's happening somewhere else in the house because of the breaker box?
It could be caused by overloading. You got too much stuff plugged in. A breaker won't trip like it's supposed to, or you got a GFCI that needs to be installed in a receptacle that isn't. I don't know, but most of the time I'd probably say it's probably a failure of a breaker that's probably going to cause that. A lot of people, because you get a lot of homes, especially if you buy something and you get an inspection report and the inspection repairs ain't made, or you get the electrician that knows what he's doing. And there's a lot of times where people, or even a homeowner's got a breaker and it keeps tripping when they put the next size breaker larger in.
Right.
Well, the wire is only rated for 20 amps, but you put a 40 amp breaker in there so it doesn't trip. What's going to wind up happening is that wire is going to burn up way before that breaker will ever trip. So, and that's what causes a lot of issues as well.
Okay.
Or animals. You got animals in the attic chewing on stuff. You know, I mean,
that never happens. That never happens.
You know, so.
Well, and how often? I mean, like, I just this last week, I had a friend that's a GC was talking about got scammed by an electrician that didn't have a license here in the state. Didn't really know what they were doing, took off with a bunch of their money. How often is that happening in y'all's business, where you're having to come behind and repair something that an inexperienced or someone that doesn't have the knowledge that you have, and having to fix that?
Well, on the day-to-day, not a lot. It does happen. I would say more time. That usually happens a lot during emergency cases, like a hurricane hits and these contractors bum rushing trying to help everybody. That runs very rampant. But you do get customers, try to want to cut corners and shave costs. It's like I'm doing a job in Beach City where the generator, and I'm using Paul the plumber to do the plumbing or the gas lines on that. He's like, do I have to have a licensed plumber to do that, or can I do that myself? I'm like, I said, any work that you do, you want somebody licensed to do it for liability purposes, warranty purposes. Yes, you need somebody licensed to do it, and it's not a lot of money. So
the difference isn't that big, is what you're saying.
You get that peace of mind when it's done correctly.
Yeah. What I think is the lesson for everybody is, like, if you're just going for like the rock bottom price, like you're going to get what you pay for every single time, and like I imagine that's true for electricians. Like if you're trying to buy the rock bottom price, you're rolling the dice thinking maybe this guy's licensed, maybe he's not, but like I'm paying a lot less.
Right. Well, I got this friend. I got this friend. He does this stuff at work. And he's a legit guy. I got a receipt from him, and this was recent. I got a person that just did this. And I said, well, make sure you remember the name and don't ever use him again. It was literally everything he touched was wrong. We had to go redo everything. But it does happen, but I'm just thankful it's not a lot.
Thankfully you're not running into it a lot. So what else are you guys seeing a lot right now that people are asking you guys to do?
Surge protection, huge.
Like whole home
surge protection, also generators, whole home generators, or even I don't know, like smaller portable generators that operate most of your refrigerator, your lighting. You can get a little small portable generator versus the whole home system. It'll keep your refrigerator cold, your lights going, stuff of that nature until power comes back on.
Are you talking about like the ones that you plug into your breaker box?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
What is that called when you do that?
I don't even know what we call that. It's just because
it's like a separate little plug.
Right. We put a 240 volt 30 amp or a 50 amp rather receptacle on the outside of the wall that's weatherproof. When you plug the cord in, it's a cover that goes over, so it protects if it is raining. So it ain't wide open, if it's raining on it as you're using it. And that back feeds your panel.
Right.
It pretty much does the same things a whole home generator is, but it just does a whole lot less.
Just the ones that you assign it to, right?
Right. So it's not going to operate your AC, furnace, dryer, water heater, stuff that's 240 in large units. That little generator is probably not going to handle it unless you get like a big, portable generator. But your whole home is exactly what it is. It'll power your whole home. Swimming pool, the whole 9 yards. It'll do everything.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's a bunch. Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, and how long have you guys been in business now?
17 years this week. May 6th actually was our anniversary.
Awesome.
So 17 years.
Well, and if people have questions, they want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, you can look at us on our website, which is www.com, RWB Electrical.com, my bad. And our office is 832-307-7967.
Awesome.
And Christy will answer the phone. She's great. Definitely don't want me answering the phone because I'm like, this ain't what I do. I'm like, what do I do?
I fix things. I don't schedule things.
Right. So I'll wing it, but Christy's great at it. So anyhow.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sitting down with us.
Sure.
And if people have any questions, please reach out to Robert or the person who actually answers the phone. Yeah.
And sometimes I'm there and they'll hand me, hey, can you talk to this person? Might be outside what she can handle.
Yeah.
And I'll jump on the phone and handle what I can. And most of the time, we like going there in person and see what the issue is and get it resolved that way.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that puts most customers at ease. They should actually want to be there in person to see what's going on.
Yeah, we got a lot of customers who want us to quote over the phone. I'm like, I just can't do that. I mean, there's way too many variables to
For
get quote over the phone. You know,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I think that's something most customers don't really understand. Like they think that their problem is a very cookie cutter problem. You know, no matter what's going on in their home, and they just want someone to tell them right then and there, like, look, it's going to be $200. You know,
if it's something simple like hang a ceiling fan, you already got one there, you got to drop it, throw another one up. I'm not giving you a quote to that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if you're wanting something substantial or something that we have to literally see, then we literally got to put our eyes on it. You know, we'll get people that, oh, this other customer said he could give us a quote on it. I said, there's no way. He literally guessed. There's literally no way to quote this without looking at it. Or people want a troubleshooting job or something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can't bid that because we, as an electrician, we literally got to do the job to fix it, to find out what the problem is.
Yeah.
Unlike plumbing, there's a pipe leaking, well, you know exactly where it's coming from.
Right.
Most times, I ain't saying every time. You know?
Well, so in the spirit of that, I have an electrical question that's probably impossible to answer without being there in person, but let's give it a whirl anyway. So on my deck, I have 8 ceiling fans, and they have never spun very fast. Is there any reason that like they might not be reaching their full potential as fans to do their job?
That's a stupid question. They're multi-speed.
Yeah.
Have it on low, medium, high.
Yeah, and all of them are put on high. But when you turn them, they all get 6 of them. So 3 and 3 get turned on with one switch, and then the other 2 have independent switches.
Well, it depends on what's on the load on that circuit. If it's got an overloaded circuit, it's possible that it's hard to say. That sounds more like a voltage drop issue. Like maybe it's this is too far and it's losing voltage getting to the fans.
Yeah,
it's very possible the fans itself, but like all of them are doing the same thing.
Yeah, they're all at the same speed. It could just be terrible fans.
Man, it's possible. It's hard to say. We'd have to put a bad connection somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be bad ground.
So let's assume it's a dropped voltage issue. What would you do for that?
You have to install larger wire. Anytime you go approximately 200 foot, about 175 to 200 feet, you need to upgrade your wire one size to help compensate for the voltage drop it's going to get.
Okay.
You know, so that's usually rule of thumb. I mean, there's a calculator, there's actually a formula for that.
Yeah.
But generally, anything in residential, you ain't going to go much further than 200 feet.
So bigger gauge wired because it's more expensive.
Right, it's going to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But
that just sounds like the cheap SOB that built my house.
Sure. So I see a lot of cheap stuff. It's like, wow, you know, so it's kind of impressive what you see on the job sometimes. Nothing surprised me. As soon as you think you've seen it all, somebody comes with a new one.
That's right.
You know, so.
Well, dude, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Yeah,
we got the rest of the meeting to get to, but always good to have you on. Join us next time.
Thank you.